Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games. Here we have Jacob on Death and Taxes versus Michael on a Control Jeskai list. He's going to force a will that Aether Vial. I tell you, Aether Vial can be such a huge problem for control decks, putting out creatures at the worst possible moments, instant speed uncounterably, create quite a bit of disruption. For example, the Spirit of the Labyrinth, if that was vialed in response to, say, a Brainstorm, would deny the card draw and still result in your opponent putting 2 cards back from hand on top of the library, basically ending the game on the spot. That's a total disaster. If they have cards in hand, they probably weren't good enough for the given situation, and now that's going to be their next draws for the next 2 turns while getting beaten down. Yeah, that's not going to go very well. That's the type of play you're hoping to catch someone with when you're sleeving up Death and Taxes. They get to play with all of those blue cards. Nice to stick it to them every once in a while. Thalia, of course, making all of those blue cards less efficient. Brainstorm and Ponder would not see any play if they were printed at 2 mana. And that's what Thalia's looking to do. Make your opponent's efficient cards so much worse. Thalia adding quite a bit of damage here. Michael down to 8 already. At a end of turn dress down, paying the extra 1. Thalia shut off for a turn. Okay. These some cards here. He's going to fetch with Prismatic Vista. And he's got a Supreme Verdict while the Thalia effect is down. He can actually pay just 4 for this Supreme Verdict. That is going to kill the Spirit of the Labyrinth. However, Thalia rescued with Karakas and replayed. And just throwing hands back and forth here. Teferi shows up, bounces the Thalia, draws a card. Force a Will stops Thalia coming back down. Go down to 5. Ooh, that is not what you want to see into an empty board. Comet, Stellar Pup. A lot of people don't want to see this card, period. There's a bad roll for him there. Comet can get out of hand real fast, putting out tons of squirrels. When you roll that 6, it can just stack up so many incremental effects, either getting squirrels or potentially like just winning the game out of nowhere. Comet dealing damage directly to the opponent's face. Comet is flavor-wise not great to have in Magic. This is a joke card. It was not supposed to be good enough, and they were very wrong with that. This is sadly amongst some of the best Planeswalkers ever printed. All of the modes fit in very, very well. Kind of like a Minsc and Boo situation, where kind of has a jokey feel. At least Minsc and Boo is from the Dungeons and Dragons fantasy world. Oh, that's actually that's a hugely underwhelming performance for Comet there. The dice not lining up very well at all. I've seen multiple games where Comet, rolls a couple of 6s in a row, stockpiles a whole bunch of squirrels. It's actually brutal underneath Humility, as you get 1/1 squirrels and then they gain haste. They're actually gaining that ability on top of the Humility. Skyclave being cast. There's an ETB. You actually don't announce the enters the battlefield ability until it actually enters the battlefield. So there we go, dress down. Michael making the heads-up play. Now, if that was vialed in, that would actually be a little bit different. Once you activate the vial, you could respond with dress down, but if you don't, once that Skyclave is put onto the battlefield from the Aether Vial, responding with dress down would no longer work. Target is named when that trigger is put on the stack. Fury and Narset. It's an unpleasant team for many decks to play against. Like a Skyclave Apparition. Can at least attack. Still a 2/2 body. This Narset has done some damage, digging. So dude, it's like a dig through time stapled onto a Spirit of the Labyrinth. Narset is an incredible magic card, as is Teferi. Flicker Wisp, temporarily getting rid of Teferi. Prismatic Ending is able to take care of this Skyclave. Teferi ramped up previously, so play sorceries at instant speed. And left here, a couple of Planeswalkers facing down potential damage from this Flicker Wisp. He's also at 5 life. Jacob has a decision to make here, and there's a Swords for it no matter what. Not going to take out its intended target. Sure, there's another Flicker Wisp. This one gets Force of Willed, mostly because of the body at this point. Just about any body would be threatening. Sitting at 5 life with these Planeswalkers, it just 1 loyalty. A minor misstep stops another Aether Vial. Nickel down to just 2 cards. Jacob taking him to the limit here. 1 card left in hand. Ticking back up, reaching that kind of time bomb status, as I often liken it to. That second draw off of that is just such a crazy advantage. The fact that he shows up and replaces himself so easily makes him amongst the best Magic cards ever. But doing it a second time, even if you're not getting value from bouncing a permanent, getting that extra card is so crazy. Dress down just being thrown out just to draw a card. Dress down actually resting bounce target. That ET draws a card. Arkham's Astrolabe was BFFs with Teferi when that was around. Moonforge Mystic. Dress down is in fact going to blank that's enter the battlefield ability. Go ahead and pick up that Jite. Look to get violent, but the Ponder continuing to dig. Keeps it, you know you're in bad shape. It's the cards starting to pile up. That many cards in hand really feels like he's stabilized here. Comet, and a good boy, takes out the Stoneforge Mystic. At this point, Jacob might be better off just scooping from a tournament perspective. Certainly playing at home, you wouldn't scoop from here. You'd soldier on and see if you can possibly ride some bad luck from your opponent to victory. Maybe Comet does a couple of inconsequential rolls in a row. You manage to get a creature to stick and clear it to Fury. You have Caracas to bounce this Thalia in response towards the Plowshares, but realistically, winning the next 2 games when we're this far into the match, starting to seem unlikely, especially if more than likely Michael's going to win this first game. Doesn't have to play aggressively at all. Game number 2, he can really focus on just making sure that you don't win. I probably like scooping a little while ago. This is also a learning experience for Jacob amongst the youngest players that join in the fun here. Wednesday and Friday, we have Legacy. Death and Taxes built. Love to see it. Started out playing Pauper. It's built one of the best decks in the format. Doc. 60 card list. See if he decides to try the 80 card Dorian and Taxes in the future, but for now, the consistency more in favor of the 60 card build, having more frequent turn 2 Thalias, having more access to Stoneforge in the matchup, so it's actually good. But this is going to be a wrap here. We've got a Days Undoing incoming. Instant speed. Michael's going to draw 7. Jacob going to draw 0 off of that. And there we go. Jacob's got his work cut out for him. Not a ton of time on the clock. Halfway through the match here. Yeah, it looks like we're running at double speed. And about 21 minutes video maybe. So it's not a ton of time left. Jacob may be lucky to get a draw out of this if he can win this next one. We're going to go ahead and skip over sideboarding. Oh, I think math wrong. It looks like we're about 12 and a half minutes to the double speed. That'd be 25 minutes there, cutting out the sideboarding, shuffling at the beginning of the match. Definitely doable to win a game in that time frame. Winning a third game is going to be tough. Aether Vial's a good start. Deafening Silence. Let me know what you think about that one in a control matchup. Obviously versus combo decks. Incredibly good. Versus control. Don't know that actually merits illusion. Now, if you had instant speed responses to things, I definitely see Deafening Silence being an interesting card to kind of put the shields up. Whenever your opponent throws out a Brainstorm, plays a Planeswalker, any type of commitment that they make to the stack, they're not going to be able to counterspell any type of instant speed response. So to that end, I can see Deafening Silence being interesting versus non-combo blue decks, but it's not really what it's intended for. I think it's really in there for storm decks, types of things that Tony Scapone brings around on Fridays when he joins us. It's to him for top fouring down in Baltimore is nice to see. Kenton and Micah also toward the top of the standings, top 8ing. I believe Black-Red Painter that he's been very well around here with. City of Traders instead of the Crystal Veins that he's been running. It's Mono Red Prison, Dragon Stompy as it's sometimes called. So we have a Table of the Mirror Breaker. Card can do work. It's a body. Does some looting. Eventually make another body. Ooh. That's what we're talking about. Spirit of the Labyrinth vialed in response to Fable. Oh, you may. Oh, daggers. Ah, that's too bad. It's not a must effect. That would have been hilarious. Just go straight to discarding 2 cards. Oh, actually, the way that it's worded, it's you may discard up to 2 cards. If you do, draw that many cards. So even if it was a mandatory effect, wouldn't discard. Sorry, just thinking this through. I do these in one take. So the fact that you have to discard first totally undermines the whole thing. I suppose if it just said discard 2 cards, draw 2. That would be a better card, though, because you could go Hellbent. Didn't have that intervening if. Have a lot of bodies on the other side of the table. A couple of Aether Vials helping out. Swords to Plowshares. All right. Comet, Stellar Pup. And it's going to come down to the die roll here. A 2 going to make some squirrels. So much loyalty on them. See the life total there. Off of the playmats. See Jacob is at full health. Death and Taxes. Generally just going to make you do an honest 20 against it. Basic plains, wastelands, Rashadan ports, Caracas. Occasionally some other utility lands, but more so in the Yorion builds. Not a ton of room for anything else, so you don't have the fetches in the dual lands. Occasionally you see people splash either red or black in Death and Taxes. Honestly, just having to do 20 is sometimes a real asset. Delver strategy or even Storm. It's going to be a full turn very often. Extra couple of points of damage that you might have done to yourself with fetches. Same with Storm. If they can't actually do the 20, tendriling you for 16 or 18 is not exactly ideal. Not what the card's for. It's supposed to end the game. So, Comet, on the other hand, it's total chaos here, making bodies, and it can occasionally throw damage at the face as well. That's a lot of bodies for 4 mana. And Dress Down becomes super dangerous. All of these 1/1s. I guess I was actually thinking Dress Down's just fine. Deafening Silence not pulling a ton of weight. Michael's still able to play a Planeswalker, incrementally improve his board. Sanctum Prelate. Gonna shut off presumably 4 casting cost cards. A lot of squirrels and a lot of loyalty. Maybe able to just swing past and hit a damage for Comet and just like end this on the spot. Making treasures. Got those Middle Earth card game. Really sure the names of the particular cards Michael's got there, but large amount of those he was able to go through one evening. All sorts of tokens back before the Lord of the Rings set. It came out. Part of Magic Multiverse, kind of. I guess Universes Beyond. Jeskai does make for some longer fast effects, despite being in really good shape here. Here we go, swinging with all the squirrels. That's a wrap. So Jeskai, and really interesting take on Control. There's so many different ways to build it here. Legacy, let me know what your favorite Control deck is in Legacy in the comments. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. For more Magic from ELD's Time Vault games, be sure to subscribe and check out more videos just for you over here.